Hello, everyone, and welcome to Growing Kentucky's Leaders. I'm one of your hosts, Sheldon McKinney,
And I'm your other host, Ruth Ann Fink.
and today we have with us the 2025 Kentucky FFA State Star in Agribusiness, Miss Laney Pease. She is a graduate of Fleming County High School, and at 13, she started building her thriving business called Sweet Pease Bouquets. She's also a Kentucky FFA Foundation Shark Tank grant winner. Lainey has just a tremendous skill set far beyond her years and a really inspiring story to share with us. So, Lainey, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on today. It's a great opportunity.
Yeah. So, Lainey, let's just start at the beginning where I kind of start with everyone. How did you find FFA? Tell us your FFA origin story. We know it started early.
Yes, I was kind of born into FFA. Both of my parents were ag advisors, so I kind of grew up seeing different teams going to national and state convention each year. I actually missed my kindergarten Halloween walkthrough at the school, like where you dress up in your costumes, because I was at national convention that year. But growing up, I always knew I would be a part of it. So when I came into high school, it was really just an easy decision. And that's why I think my SAE started at 13 because we really wanted to get a jump start on that. And it was just a great opportunity to go ahead and get involved.
Yeah, Lainey, you and I are part of the same club, which is being an Ag Advisors kid, the Ag Advisor Kid Club. My mom and dad actually both were Ag Advisors. Now, I am different here. You probably had them in class. I did not. I didn't have, my dad had changed careers at that point when I was in high school, but I did have my mom in class. And it is a funny club to be in, to be an Ag Advisors kid. And so, why don't, just from your point of view, what makes that special? What makes your FFA experience as an ag teacher's kid a little bit different? Maybe the special parts, and what was maybe a little bit hard about that?
I think like everyone jokes that their ag teachers are their closest like people in the school system, but for me
Yeah.
that was like a reality. Like I wasn't just calling her mom as a joke or dad as a joke. Like I went home to them every night. We rode into school together every day, but like on top of just having that drive in the classroom, they also saw that side of me at home and they were able to see the work I was putting into it. And even when we would have discussions at the dinner table, they'd be bringing work home with them, which they probably didn't want to do all the time, but it would just be stuff that I would be involved in and consumed with. So then we would talk about it, build off of ideas that we'd had. And I think growing up, seeing different activities that other officer teams had done before me gave me ideas for when I was officially in that leadership role. And that was a way for me to kind of bring back old traditions that maybe we hadn't done in a few years, but just to kind of have that connection with my parents there. Like I was spent 7 days a week with them. Like sometimes most kids don't see their parents like between 8 o'clock and 3 o'clock while they're at
Yeah.
school. But I had literally my senior year, I had my mom for every single class period except for co-op. Because instead of sitting in the library to work on my college classes, I went down to her room and worked on what I needed to. But then also, I had the flexibility of maybe helping with some of her classes or working on a floral project. But just having them there kind of made things easier sometimes.
Yeah, I always tell this story, and because you do not have to tattle by any means, but there are hard parts of being an advisor's kid too. Like the joke I always say is, if I had my mom in class, and always my best friend Hannah was in class with me too, like it'd be a crime if we did not have the same schedule, in high school. But Hannah and I would be silent, like in where we were sitting, and there might be another group of kids talking in the class, but every time my mom would be like, Ruth Ann and Hannah, shh. It was always us. And I think so that was, just part of being the advisor's kid. We were the ones that, maybe we weren't the ones talking, but it was easier to get on to us than it was to other kids. So were there parts that made your FFA experience just a little different in that way, having your parents as your
I
advisors?
think just especially like being their kid, like they
Yeah.
know the expectations they raised me with. So when things maybe get out of hand or when like an event doesn't go exactly how we wanted it, like the frustration like is talked about or like sometimes even naturally I would take on more responsibility over some things just to see that it was done right. And then
Yeah.
just sharing in frustrations because again you go home and you talk about things or you come up with the different ideas on how to fix things.
Yeah.
I'm often like the fixer, so I try to like manage everything in the classroom or I'll be the one sent as the gopher to go maybe get copies because I know how to work the copier, or run out to the greenhouse to help this person get ferns. But yeah,
Yeah.
there were some
It's a
times I
special thing. Yeah, there's of course like the funny nuances that come along with the territory, but it is a special thing that, we get to be in this club together and it's true. You get to see all sides and all perspectives of events going on, whether that be school related, FFA related, community involvement related. You see it all. And Sheldon said, you're
Great.
wise beyond your years, and that's probably a lot of the reason why.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, you did have a plan for an SAE when you were coming into high school. So maybe tell us first, like, what is an SAE project if people aren't, if people listening don't know, but what inspired you to start Sweet Peas Bouquets and maybe some of those major milestones that you feel like led to your success to get to be the state star?
So I guess maybe even for listeners who don't know even further what an SAE is, agriculture education is built on the circle model, which is classroom, leadership, and SAE. And your SAE is a supervised agricultural experience. And that's a project that a student can have, whether that's entrepreneurial, whether that's placement, or even discovery if they're doing a research project. Mine was entrepreneurship. So I started and owned my own cut flower and floral servicing business. I began it before I came into high school. That way I could really just have more records. That way I wasn't starting fresh as a freshman coming into high school. So the summer before my freshman year, which was COVID, peak of COVID, I started a cut flower garden with 6 varieties of flowers. And that summer, because I couldn't drive, my parents would take me to deliveries or to meet up with clients because during COVID, you weren't really able to go into a floral shop, or even some florists maybe weren't able to even operate because their delivery people couldn't get in, or maybe there was a lot of backups with shipping at the time. So I was able to provide them a service and a unique opportunity because they were able to pay me with a check in the mail or pay me through Venmo or PayPal online. And I would make those deliveries and leave them outside the person's door, or even just leave them on a table or at the bottom of their steps. But so I started with 6 varieties, cut flowers, put them in mason jars, jute, and added a little card to them and wrote something, little note. And then really after that first year, there was a lot of support in my community because it was not only was it just a different venture that no one else was doing in the county, but they also just wanted to support someone of my age because they want to see a lot of people want to support the younger generation, whether that's within agriculture or any other different industry. They just want to see kids doing something and being involved in their community. And that's why I think I got so much support. There was this one lady, she bought every single week to put on her back porch for her Sunday after church dinners. She was my best client. I'd always give her just a bit extra whenever she ordered, just because she ordered every week. But then after that first year, like even doing like events and weddings had never been something I thought I would end up getting into. But I had a family friend ask me about doing her wedding and reception and the bridal party, and it was just an amazing opportunity and a really good learning experience. And I was so grateful that she was the first one I was able to do, just because she trusted me for one of the best days of her life, but it was a really great opportunity.
Yeah. So how
That's
do
a big
you learn how
undertaking.
to do wedding flowers? Like, I mean, your mom probably had some skills she passed along, but where else did you go to really learn here?
Um, a lot of it came from my mom. Like I would work with stuff. It's honestly not as hard as people think. I think it's just like the idea of like sitting down to do it and having the time and resources to do it is what stops a lot of people. But it's really just understanding the color wheel and understanding maybe how you want something to be arranged, whether that's symmetrical or asymmetrical. I even have someone right now asking me about doing a cascading bouquet, which I've never done before. So then I'll go to YouTube and look up how-tos on how to do that. A lot of my feeds on Facebook and Instagram are different floral designers and how they're doing different arrangements. I do follow a select few of people that I will usually go to if I'm looking for something specific, as well as even just following some of their Amazon storefronts as far as maybe what compote bowls that they use for their reception tables or what bud vases they use. Even through my SAE, I did take some of the time while I was in high school over Christmas break and spring break, I reached out to a local florist in a neighboring county and she let me come in and she showed me how she put together a corsage because there's tons of different ways you can put together corsages. And as something that I struggle with, it was a great way to go and see how she does it and how it's easy for her. So YouTube videos, learning from other mentors, even just trying something. There's been times before that I'll put in an order for flowers and it's a cost that I'm maybe having to pay for at the end of the day and I'm not really selling anything, but I'm able to learn different skills, but also even make videos and content that I can put out on social media to get my brand out there to other people.
Yeah, for sure.
You make it sound so easy, Lainey. It is, for those listening, it is not easy. You're and I just want to call that out. Like you're talking about how you're putting in the work, like whether that's researching different things or I mean, your personal social media feeds are all about this stuff because you're a learner. And it's yeah, people who
Yes.
are very creative by nature are like, "Ah, it's just, it's easy. It's like musicians are that way. It is not easy, and what you do is so wonderful.
I want to
Well,
make sure we sell. Hold on, your full thing that you've gotten to do. So you finish your thought, and then I want to make sure we come back to how big you have grown your business.
Well, you talk about, I guess, it being easy. Like, that's one thing that I think I want to allow people to experience themselves with the floral trailer that I have finally finished from the Shark Tank grant. Um, I think ideally in mind, it would be used to go to bachelorette parties, birthday parties, and I could set up an open floral bar, or even if a bride was interested in maybe even me coming out the night before her wedding and we work on making her bridal party bouquets. Like that's something I would love to do just so that other people can even see how fun it really is and how honestly, like for me, it's such like a when I'm working on a wedding, it is stressful because you really do only have 72 hours to work with these fresh flowers from when they come in on Wednesday to setting them up on Saturday. But during that time, I just throw on headphones, I listen to podcasts, watch YouTube videos, maybe turn on a show. And just for those few days, like all I'm doing is working on flowers and just being by myself. Like it's such as just a time to like have fun, but also de-stress for me. Maybe for other people too, it could be.
Yeah, that's great. Well, let's talk a little bit about how big you have grown your business. So you got a $3,000 Shark Tank grant to buy a floral trailer. I want you to tell us that, but then tell us like how many weddings have you done? What does a school dance look like for you? Some of these things that you need to make sure you share that.
So I did a wedding when I was 13, 14, the summer after I had started. And then upon graduating high school, I had done 11 weddings. And then by June, when I was officially named State Star, I had done 12 because I did one the Saturday before state convention. I finished up a wedding on Saturday and then headed to Lexington on Sunday. It was a gorgeous wedding, by the way. But so my first grant that I actually won with FFA, I had gotten one of the startup grants, the launch SAE launch grants, and I purchased a garland maker. And it seems like so long ago that I was doing greenery around Christmas time, but during the holidays, I would go out and I would cut fresh greenery and do door swags and window swags. And then I invested in a garland maker with that SAE launch grant. And that garland maker, I still have it. And it's something that I can use for even not greenery garlands, but possibly wedding garlands as well. It was just something that I can add to expand my business offers and products to clients. And then I competed in the Shark Tank grant. It was a great opportunity, by the way, just to even learn about business proposals and what it means for someone to invest in your business. But I received $5,000 to purchase a horse trailer, and I completely re-outfitted that. Took shop class with my dad, so I did have him in class, and I was able to figure out how to strip it. Actually, we'll start on where I found this trailer because I purchased it off of a family who had moved to Fleming County from Oregon. The trailer, I still have the license plate, it had Washington tags, but they moved here just to kind of come to the country, and they were building their house and needed a bit more funds. So they were selling this trailer that they had actually already stripped to haul their stuff down here to Kentucky. But the the lady was actually had in mind that she was going to do cut flowers for wholesale and use this as an outlet trailer. So it was perfect, and it's great that I'm able to actually fulfill that idea she had in mind with my own. Um, but through the business, with all of these different investments that I've gotten from Kentucky FFA and even through opportunities and programs through our local farm service agency, my business is a legit official business. I grew my reputation quite a lot within my county, and I had actually had people wondering um, basically about the legitimacy of my business, whether I was paying sales tax or not. So I actually became registered with the Kentucky Secretary of State in 2022. So I do officially now pay sales tax and include that in all of my quotes, or whenever I'm doing an event, I make sure to add that on there for my pricing. So I'm registered, I pay taxes. Um, and ultimately, it's become what it is now. I have many people asking about weddings for 2026. I think I'm done for the rest of the year as far as weddings, but I'm working right now. But anywhere between, I've got 3 and 4 quotes right now going through back and forth with brides for 2026. And honestly, I would love to do more. I absolutely love doing weddings.
Oh. And you're a full-time college student. For those listening, you're
Yes,
like, wow, she's got it all going on. She's got this business and she's also a full-time student.
I've got 18 hours.
Yeah.
You also have to tell me, how many bouquets did you make for your high school prom?
Proms, honestly, I'm gonna be honest, they're not my favorite. Homecoming, winter formals, proms. I started off doing winter formals for the middle school, just knowing people that were around my brother's age who were looking for flowers. And then I did a high school winter formal, and then we actually didn't have homecoming until the past 2 years that I was in high school. So it was really winter formal and proms that I had done. I did prom my freshman year, and I didn't have very many. But it was just people that I was friends with that had known I was getting into flowers. And so there was actually a girl who I did her prom flowers every year that she went to prom. There was probably 2 or 3 girls like that, and that was really special because one of the girls I always did her prom flowers, but then I was able to do her boyfriend's sister's wedding. So just family connections really made that special. But there was 1 year of prom flowers that I probably should have cut back. But when I was a sophomore, I didn't go to prom, but I was a prom servant. So we had to do a dance and be there at prom. But I believe, anywhere between 20 and 25 prom bouquets on top of a wedding. It was actually Riley Warner's. She works with Kentucky FFA, but she had found me through the Shark Tank grant, and she approached me to do her wedding flowers. So I did proms and her flowers, as well as some centerpieces for a wedding reception that weekend. It was crazy, but I managed to pull it off. But this past year, I did limit myself on wedding flowers or on prom flowers because I was attending my senior prom. So I did 21 prom bouquets, and then I also did mine. But honestly, this past year I had just as many outside of county orders as I did in county, because so many people that I've met through FFA who know that I do this, they had asked me to do their prom flowers. So I did a lot of Mason County, Nicholas County, I did some Round County at one point too.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's
incredible.
awesome. Lainey, I don't know if you ever watched this podcast when you were still in high school or not, but we do have a lot of listeners that are FFA members themselves. And I hope they're listening to you right now and inspired, because it's a true success story of how you started small, you got that launch grant, and it truly, like, it launched you into, now being a state star. So what would you say to younger FFA members? They're just now deciding what they want that SAE to be. What advice would you give them?
I think you really need to find something that is niche to you. Maybe it doesn't have to be niche to your community, but it's something that you are good at, something you can specialize in, and something that you honestly want to devote your time and your energy towards. And that way you can really do something with it and make a difference for yourself. Maybe you can learn new skills. Maybe it is a way for you to bring in money instead of, maybe I didn't ever want to go and work in fast food in my community, so I found a way to do this and make money for myself. And honestly, it's just a way for me to start something in high school, but end up finding something that I want to do for the rest of my life. And whether or not I do flowers full time, I know that these skills that I'm learning, managing my money, conversing with customers, they're skills that any employer will want to look for. So if you just find something to start with small as a freshman, or even as a junior, if you don't have an SAE until now, you're just finding something that you're interested in and that you can ultimately bring value to yourself, and then that can kind of overflow into others. Because flowers is something that I really do love, but I'm able to provide a service to other people and share that with them.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, I hope people take your advice.
This probably needs to be a standalone podcast on its own, but I think another interesting thing is that, your family is part of founding the Kentucky Welding Institute, which maybe people don't know what that is, but you have played a really critical role in that business as well. So tell us about what is the Kentucky Welding Institute and what responsibilities, did you work on there?
So, funnily enough, when Ruth Ann said that I was doing my business while being a full-time college student, I still do oversee our social media while I'm here. So that's scheduling posts on a Sunday for them to go out throughout the week, or continuing to post every single day with just some updates of some of our guys welding in the shop. But I've always been involved in KWI and Kentucky Welding Institute. So we started in 2015, so we're approaching our 10 years in October. But I officially became on payroll in 2019, and since 2019, I have cleaned the office buildings every single weekend. I honestly think I've only missed a handful of times, but I come in and clean on a Saturday or Sunday and make sure it's all ready for a tour or if we have orientation. But then between when COVID hit, we stopped going to school in March, and I was inside KWI working through a lot of our student files so that we could get prepared to be accredited and go through our audit with a lot of the different accrediting people that we were going through at the time. But I went through student files. I helped keep up to date records of a lot of our files that we had. And then as a senior in high school through our co-op program, I came on for 4 periods a day and was honestly working anywhere from 25 to 35 hours a week at the weld school, on top of being in school, doing flowers, playing varsity soccer, and doing FFA and all different kinds of clubs. Um, but honestly, I think along with doing flowers, these things just make me want to learn more. And so when I'm in the office at KWI, I'm having to manage a lot of things, but also learn about different processes and learning about the industry itself. So the Kentucky Welding Institute is a weld school, which I'm a very big proponent of. If college is not right for you, then maybe trade school is, or immediately going into the workforce is. Like there's never a one fit solution for all. And that's why I love working at KWI, because I'm able to help those students find what they want to do for the rest of their life. And honestly, any trade is, we need people in trades, whether that is welding or electricians or carpenters or plumbers, because these people at 18, 19, 20 years old are able to go out after this program, whether that's a 6-month program or a 2-year program, and they're able to just go and work instead of maybe being in college for 4 years and having to get some student debt. But so our program is 6 months long. That's our most popular program, which would be the combo pipe welder program. So 6 months you're there and then you're out. And then we have tons of students who go through the program, and then within the first year of them graduating, they gross over $100,000, which is pretty big at that young. But not only are we teaching them to weld, but we're giving them the skills to build their resume for an employer to look at, or whether that's helping them get their certifications. So not only are they certified to weld, but they also get Basic Plus, OSHA, CCO, which is the national organization that certifies for crane, rigger, and signal operations. So they're able to go onto a job site and rig or signal cranes. We also drug test them so that they're able to be reliable for their employer and be safe on a job site. But all of these things allow them to end up being successful after they graduate from our program.
Mm. Yeah. Laney, you're so impressive on so many different levels. I hope you understand, like, I know you are busy and you feel that pressure probably a lot all the time, but it is so impressive, and your future is I mean, I can't wait to see. I can't wait to follow along and see where you end up and what you end up doing because it's already so impressive, like I've said. So speaking of, what is next for you, Lainey? Not that you haven't done anything with all this time, but what's next for you?
Um, so I think I'm kind of a short-term goal-oriented person. So like while I was in high school, my goal was um to graduate valedictorian. And so during those 4 years, I really like focused on my academics. While I was involved in extracurricular activities, I think like at times I wasn't all the time going out with friends or hanging out with people, but I was doing things to help better myself because I know in those 4 years, like you really do only have a short amount of time that you can take some free dual credit college classes. I took advantage of those.
Yeah.
But so when I took all of those, I'm now in college. I am technically a freshman here at Western Kentucky University, but my classification is a junior because of all the credits that I brought in. So I sat down with my academic advisor just last Friday, and we kind of determined what my timeline would be here. So I'm looking to graduate in spring of 2027, which will be 2 years on a bachelor's degree. With that, I've always joked around with Kyle Kelly at Kentucky Farm Bureau that I'll eventually take over for him when he's ready to head out. But I think lobbying or something with advocacy is something that I would really love to do. If I was able to pick, I went on the congressional tour with Farm Bureau back in February, and just being able to see the advocacy on a national level and how big Kentucky does play a role in national affairs was something that I would really love to be a part of. Possibly doing some internships with KDA as well as in Washington, D.C., maybe working on the farm bill. That's always a big topic, especially with a lot of the different advancements we're seeing right now from Brooke Rollins and the new administration. But a lot of things that I would love to be a part of when I graduate and possibly even through internships while I'm here. Definitely going to do flowers as I continue. Hopefully, if if I can find someone who could be able to maybe bring in enough money, maybe I could end up doing flowers full time. But I would never be able to do flowers just and to support myself financially. I think I don't think I'm that big enough yet, nor do I think that that's the route I want to take. I definitely love doing just wedding flowers and not necessarily doing like a birthday occasion flower or some funeral arrangements. If I could find someone to be with and marry who could bring home some money, then I would definitely do flowers full time and then continue to maybe do some marketing for different companies, especially Kentucky Welding Institute, but maybe branching off with some different commodity groups for marketing outreach as well.
Yeah, it's always a great side hustle.
That's great. Lainey, I hope in the next 2 years you have some time to just to get explore all kinds of new opportunities. 2 years in colleges, you have worked so hard to do that. And then also like that's so fast. I hope you work so hard. Well, we're finishing up here. We always ask our guests the same 3 questions to wrap it up. What keeps you motivated?
I think just knowing that I don't know everything is a great refresher to always think about because even though I may be good at a lot of things or I maybe have a hand in everything, there's always someone who knows more that I can learn from. And that honestly is very encouraging and motivating to know that there is something for me to always keep reaching towards. I don't think I'll ever end up just hitting a plateau and I can't go from here. But in anything I do, I know that there's always a way to grow or there's always a skill or something that I don't know yet myself. And that when I learn those things, it'll just make me a more rounded person, individual, and even just an employee to whoever I would end up working for.
Yeah. Our next question we always like to ask our guests, because obviously here at the foundation, like we are a nonprofit and we are a philanthropy. We just like to ask our guests, like, what's the most meaningful way that you've gotten to engage in philanthropy in your life?
So with Sweet Pease Bouquets, when I was still in high school, this was probably my sophomore year, At my church, our pastor and his wife had a challenge for everybody as a way to help raise money for the Annie Armstrong offering that we have. And they gave anyone who wanted it could come and get an envelope of $20, and you were supposed to take that $20 and somehow multiply it. So increasing your treasures to then give back. And I took an envelope of $20, and with my business, I created door signs for the holiday season. So wooden rounds that we cut out at school, and then I painted them, added bows to them and greenery, and then by the time that I gave back for the Annie Armstrong offering, I ended up giving in back around $500 for that offering, which was I like being able to give back to an organization and a missionary group that I was able to help spread the gospel with. And I did that through my business. And then for those next 2 years, I was still doing door signs around the holiday season. So it ended up giving me a new artistic venture that I could add for my business, but it allowed me to connect my flower business with my faith and with church. And that's something that I've even continued to do since I started my business. And with some of my cards that I put on my flowers, I include a Bible verse or just a little small, maybe it just says John 3:16, or maybe it has the whole verse listed out, but it's something that I've even incorporated since I did the Annie Armstrong offering with my church.
That's a great example.
It is great. So last question, this can be anything. It could be fun, funny, serious, whatever, but what is something that you cannot stop talking about?
I think I go on lots of different tangents at times about different things. Flowers is an obvious one. I think just looking at different trends that I would possibly be working with. As weird as it sounds, like this, whether or not you like Taylor Swift or not, like for me, like just knowing that with her wedding coming up, that's really going to change the wedding industry. It's already starting to change like engagement rings, like, and the trends people are wanting there, but the flowers that she uses will definitely have an effect on flowers that I end up doing for weddings in the future. Aside from flowers, I think going back to the Weld School and just being a big advocate for trades themselves, it's really cool to just see the support that other people have for trades as well. Like with the micro scholarship that we promote, we've had a student who has $19,000 in scholarships. And like, I just love like telling people about those stories, because these students are doing non-traditional post-secondary education, and something that a lot of times doesn't have the same support in society as a 4-year college degree does. But those people are taking their future into their hands and doing something with their life. And so many of them are so successful. And I think just switching the shift of that expectation of these people graduating from high school is so important, and something that I'm such an advocate for. And just seeing people support welders and plumbers and people in the trades, as well as supporting and being an advocate for agriculture in general. There's been a lot of good different advancements here come out within the last year. Brooke Rollins, everything she's doing, I think is great. But
okay, well, that's it. That's not your typical freshman in college answer that you're thinking about these people, Laney. Well, that's it, Laney. We're proud of you. You have just built something incredible, and you're just such a hard worker. So I just wish you the best. You're going to be so successful.
Thank you.
For you, but thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me. It was great.
Yeah, and thank you all for listening to this episode of Growing Kentucky's Leaders.
Growing Kentucky's Leaders is a podcast brought to you by the Kentucky FFA Foundation. Our music is performed by Bourbon County FFA member Joe Fritch. Artwork is by Julie Fritch Creative. Your hosts are Sheldon McKinney and Ruth Ann Fink, and you can find us on all social platforms at Kentucky FFA.